And we are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's Daily Dose of Awesome, your 15 minutes of inspiration, education, and motivation brought to you by Elite Marketing Pro. My name is Vitaly Grimblett. I am the Chief Copywriter here at EMP. And today we're going to talk about ads and emails, of course, one of my favorite topics. But specifically, I'm going to give you 5 crucial steps to creating kick-butt ads and emails, and really videos and blog posts and any marketing message. Okay, how does that sound? I see some people popping on right now, so great to see everybody. Hey, Hillary. Hey, everybody. All right, so let's talk about our topic for today, how to create ads and emails and marketing messages that rock. And before we get into the steps, I do want to say a couple things. I want to give you a couple kind of thoughts to keep in the back of your head. So one is that, you've probably heard about the rule of 80-20, right? That 80% of success in your life comes from 20% of the work or the effort. And so this, creating your marketing message, this actually is part of the 20%. This is one of the most important things you can do that's going to create results in your business, right? Create profits, create, traffic, leads, sales, and profits ultimately. And so this is super important. And I'm not going to give you a whole lot of mechanics on the actual ad creation today, although we'll touch on some of them. But I'm going to give you my process, the steps that I take, that I reverse engineered, and I'm going to give you the frame of mind that I put myself into when creating a marketing message. All right. So the other thing that I want you to think about as we go through these steps is you have to understand the task at hand. What I'm saying is that marketing, it's not rocket science, but it is complicated. You're trying to come up with a message. You're trying to come up with words that will cause a complete stranger to take action. And that's not an easy task. And so think about that, right? And think about when you're putting together your message, each word, each sentence, each phrase matters. The emotions that you ignite within your prospect, they matter, okay? They make a great deal, they can make a huge difference in whether your ad, your message, your email, whether it will succeed or not. All right, so think about that. And finally, the last thing I want you to think about is, and this is kind of, I want to give you permission, so to speak, is that it's okay to suck. Right? You're going to suck in the beginning. If you're new, if you just started creating ads, if you're putting together your first message, or you're just getting your feet wet, just understand that it's okay to be bad. You're going to be bad before you're going to be good, and you're going to be good before you're going to be great. So it's okay to suck and understand that it's a process, right? You're not going to create a killer ad, most likely, right from the get-go, right? So in fact, there are, just really quickly, there are 4 stages to mastering anything, to becoming really, really good at anything. And the first stage, you may have heard this before. If not, this is going to be interesting. I know it was interesting for me first time I heard this. The first stage is when you're unconsciously incompetent. That means that you don't know what you're doing, and you don't know that you don't know. All right. Now, if you're watching this right now, if you're in business, you probably know that already. So you've already graduated to stage number 2 or beyond. And the stage number 2 is when you are consciously incompetent. That means you still suck, but now you are aware of it. All right. So that's good, because when you're aware of a problem, that means you can do something about it. All right. So then you start reading books and attending Daily Dose of Awesome in other trainings like this, or webinars, and attending seminars, and just learning and honing your chops and learning the skills. And then you become better, right? Then at some point you get good. And so you graduate to the next stage, which is conscious competence. This is when you're getting good, but you have to put a lot of conscious effort into staying good, into, in perfecting your skills and doing a good job. And so you're consciously putting a lot of effort into that. And then with enough practice, when you practice your craft over and over and over again, is when you get to the final stage, which is unconscious competence. That's when you're good, and a lot of what you do kind of happens naturally and automatically. And you can get there with time and effort and a lot of practice. But the thing is that you have to understand that you don't start there. You start at the beginning, right? So it's okay to suck. So with that, let's jump into the 5 my steps that I use to create ads and emails. And so the first, I have my notes in front of me because I want to make sure that I don't forget. This is not a cheat sheet that I work off of. I do this kind of without thinking about it, but I had to, for this training, I had to reverse engineer my own process. So I'm going to make sure that I cover everything. I have my notes here. So the first thing is you want to get into the right state of mind. This is so important. All right. I heard this a long time ago from a guy who probably had the biggest influence on me when it comes to writing emails. His name is Matt Fury. He doesn't really teach much marketing and emails copywriting anymore, but he was a massive and still is a massive influence on what I know and what I do with emails. And he said something that stuck with me about writing. He said, if you struggle to write it, they will struggle to read it. Now think about that, right? Think about it. If you have a hard time coming up with the message, there's a very good chance that your reader, your prospects, are going to have a hard time understanding what you're trying to say. So if you struggle to write it, they will struggle to read it. And to solve that issue, before you start writing your ads, your emails, coming up with your message, you have to get into the right state of mind. You have to get excited. You have to get enthusiastic. If you've been in any kind of sales before, then you know that when you sit down with your prospect, like I come from a world of direct sales, I've spent over a decade in it, and before each presentation, I had to psych myself up. I had to get excited about what I'm going to talk about with my prospects. And if you come from any kind of sales background, then you know this is true. You can't bore your prospects into a sale, into giving you money, right? You have to be excited. You don't have to be jumping up and down, but internally you have to be enthusiastic and excited, and you have to transfer that enthusiasm and excitement through your words and your presentation to your prospects. And the same thing is true in your emails and your ads, right? Yes, you're alone sitting in your room in front of your computer, but you're talking to people. And the words that you put on that page, right, in your email or even in that video script or in your blog post or in your ad, they carry that energy. And so you have to get into the right frame of mind. So there are a few things that you can do to get into the right frame of mind. I'll give you some tips. One is find the right time for creating your ads. Now, if you're full-time in this business, it's going to be easy for you to do because you have all day and you can kind of juggle your schedule around that. But if you're part-time in the business, it may be a little bit of a struggle, but find the right time when your energy is high. For me, it's mornings, which is not true for everybody. Like Andrew Drawn, our director of content, he's an owl. He's a night owl, right? He writes at nights, usually, as far as I know. And that's when his energy is up. Now, I used to be like that years ago, but for me right now, mornings are best. Not too early, not too late, somewhere between 9 and noon. That's when my energy is at the all-time high during the day. And that's when you're feeling good, when you have your energy is high, that's when you create. So that's my optimal time. So find the right time. The other thing is get yourself moving. It's very hard to get excited if you're just sitting down in front of your computer. So if you're feeling kind of frustrated or stressed or just lazy or not very inspired or motivated, get yourself moving, right? Maybe do a little bit of jumping jacks, maybe walk around the neighborhood. I know I do that quite often. I go outside, if the weather's nice, which most of the time it is, except in the winter, then I just walk around the house. But if the weather's nice, I'll go outside and I'll walk around my neighborhood, go to the park, spend 10, 15, 20 minutes. And you know what it does? It gets the blood pumping. It gets the blood pumping, and that creates energy. If you've ever attended or have heard of T. Harv Eker, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, I remember I went to his live event years ago, and he said that to make a lot of money, you need a lot of energy. And he used to jump up on stage, a lot of energy, and everybody would jump up, and that's so true. And to create ads that cause people to give you money, you also have a lot of energy. So get yourself moving. If you move, you can't help but generate a lot of energy. So that's one tip, or my second tip. So find the right time of the day, get moving, energy, right? Create some energy. Also music. Find some good music that you can listen to that will get your energy up, right? And it's different for everybody. So I'm not going to tell you what music you should listen to. You know what rocks your boat. Find something that gets your energy going and listen to it. Another thing you can do is you can read some inspirational stuff. You can read maybe some ads that inspire you, that you want to model after. And you do all that before you write the ad, before you actually sit down and create your marketing message. All that does is get you in the right frame of mind, all right? And one of the things that you can do is make sure that you don't create your marketing message after a heavy meal, okay? If you eat a lot of carbs, if you eat a heavy meal, especially if it's loaded with carbs, you're going to feel down, and that's the worst time to create advertising. So make sure I don't want to say you do it on an empty stomach, but don't do it right after having a big meal. All right. So get into the right frame of mind, get into the right state of mind. So the next thing, so that's step number one. Step number two is you want to think about your prospects, right? Who are you writing to? You're not writing to you. One of the mistakes that I see a lot of people make with their ads is it's all about them. You need to forget about you. You need to forget about your product. You need to forget about your service. You need to forget about what you're trying to do. You need to think about your prospect first and foremost. Because your advertising, your message needs to do one thing. It has to do a number of things, but the number one thing it has to do is it has to answer a question, a burning question in your prospect's mind. And that question is, what's in it for me? All right? So know that. Think about it. Think about your prospect. Think about their pains. Think about their problems. What are they trying to solve? What solutions do you have that can help them solve their problems? When you think about this stuff, it's going to help you with, with coming up with the right words and the right angles, because you're going to be thinking about your prospect. One of the things that I used to do in direct sales, and I do that today when I create emails and messages and really any kind of ad copy, but I used to do that back when I was in the direct sales business. Before I would pull up as I was driving to the house, I would come up to somebody's house, to my appointment. I would park, not by their house, but maybe a couple blocks away or a block away. And I would sit in my car for about 30 seconds or a minute and just kind of visualize and think about the prospects and think about what I want to happen next and think about them and their problems and how what I have can help them solve their problems. This not only helped me get in the right state of mind, but it helped me prep myself mentally. So when I walk in and I talk about, what I do, I focus on them, not on me, right? Very important. You think about your prospects. In fact, this is a huge topic, understanding what your prospects are thinking. On the last Daily Dose of Awesome, which was on last Friday, it was a 15-minute clip from our 6-figure training that was conducted in Orlando over the weekend, in spite of the hurricane and all of that. And Carrie Hyam did a great job of teaching people teaching the workshop attendees, and we shared that segment in the Daily Dose of Awesome about understanding your market and about understanding your target audience, about understanding their fears, their frustrations, their pains, as well as their desires, their goals, and their dreams. All right. So this is something that you want to think about ahead of time. So this is step number 2, your prospects. Step number 3 is you got to have an intention. Again, this is before you even start writing your message, before you even know which words to use. You got to have a clear intention for what you want the outcome of your message to be. So for example, if you're writing an ad for Facebook, what is the outcome? What is it that you want your prospect to do? Well, you want them to click on the ad, right? And you want them to opt into the list. So you want to think about that. You want to think about the action that you want them to take, because your intention will set forth will create the right momentum for the ad, and will help you create the right words that will create the momentum that will cause your prospect to take a certain action, right? And I'm a very big believer in setting intentions this way. So you got to be very clear about the outcome that you want your ad to accomplish, your marketing message. If it's an email and you want them to go read a blog post or watch a video, opt into a list, or maybe buy something, then that's what you need to think about. Again, going back to what I used to do in direct sales, I would sit in my car and I would think about it. Again, it doesn't have to be a very long visualization session. We're talking a few seconds, maybe 10, 15 seconds, but just think about and ask yourself this question, what is it that I want my prospects to do, right? You ask yourself this question, you have an answer, you know exactly what you want them to do. It'll help you be very crystal clear with your message, and your message is not going to be, all over the place. It's going to be very crystal clear on what you want them to do, all right? So that's step number 3. So step number 4 is when you actually write your message. So see, there are things that you need to do, as I already discussed, before you start writing. So then, when you're ready, when you're in the right frame of mind, you're thinking about your prospect, you have an intention, that's when you actually sit down and you create the message, right? That's when you sit down and you create your attention-grabbing headline or subject line, right, to make sure you grab their attention, right? But you're already thinking about your prospect. So by that time, you should know what to say that will get them to to respond, that will get them to pay attention to your ad or to your email, right? You want to have a great opening, something that's of interest to them, because again, you're thinking about them. So with them in mind, write your opening, something that grabs them immediately, right? Then you deliver the meat of the ad, right? You touch on their desires, you touch on their emotions, you talk about the problem, their problem, not your problem, but their problem, right? And finally, you bring in your solution, which is your call to action, which is what you want them to do. Click on the ad, or go read this blog post, or go watch that video, or go opt into this list, or, if you're writing a sales letter, then it's go buy this product, whatever it is. But those are the basic steps, okay, of creating an ad. But I promise you, it's a lot easier to put them all together when you do all that I just mentioned over the last, 10, 12, 13 minutes, getting into the right state of mind and, thinking about them and having that intention, okay? But we're not just quite done. There's one more thing that you have to do, which I know in the beginning a lot of people skip. You create an ad, but you're not done, because remember what I said at the very beginning, it's okay to suck. Now, I'm going to give you a little secret. Most, even advanced marketers and copywriters, the very first ad they create, the very first version or draft of the ad they create, usually is not that good, right? So the final step is you got to edit and tweak until it just rocks, until it's compelling enough to where you're reading and you go, this is great, right? So that's when you go through your ad, your email or your blog post with a fine-tooth comb, and you look for extra words that you can eliminate. You look for redundancy that you can get rid of. You look for parts that maybe are weak emotionally or weak energetically, right? And you can feel it, because this is another tip, you read it out loud. When you read it out loud, it helps you see and it helps you feel spots in your ad that are not as strong as they could be. And that's when you edit and tweak, right? And so you do this a few times, you edit your headline, your subject line, your body copy a few times, and that's when you have a great ad. So basically those are the steps, right? So there's a lot more to writing an ad than just sitting down and actually writing the ad. You got to get into just quick recap, you got to get into the right frame of mind, right? Get into the right state emotionally and energetically. Think about your prospects, right? Set the intention for your ad, then actually write the ad, and then go back and edit it until it's at a point where when you read it, it feels just right, okay? And that's basically what I do, guys. That's how I write ads. I hope this helped you. Practice these 5 steps. It's okay to be bad before you're going to be good, and you're going to be good before you're going to be great. So practice, practice, practice. With that, thanks for tuning in. I look forward to coming back and sharing some more stuff with you. And if this is your first time watching this broadcast, make sure you visit our website at www.elitemarketingpro.com, where there are lots of resources. There's a blog with lots of articles on there, as well as a free internet recruiting bootcamp that you can get your hands on, no cost, and learn all about attraction marketing and how to recruit and attract people without basically any rejection using the internet. With that, thanks guys, and we'll see you next time. All right, take care everybody.